Hello wrestling fans, welcome to the Wrestling Wrap-Up. I am your host, the Megastar Austin Savage. This is episode 26 of the show, and at this time I'm going to talk about this week's Impact. The Anderson Gunner promo that started the show I thought was really good. I think they're trying to build Gunner up to somewhat of a main event player. I mean, it's a crowded main event right now. Hernandez and Devon, I don't know what they're doing with this whole Pope thing, because I don't get Explosion where I am. And they showed the clip, and they've showed it a couple times, but they're really not explaining other than the Pope's trying to get to Devon's family. Was he trying to help him? Is he trying to feud with him? What's he doing? Anderson versus Gunner was set up as the main event of the show after the Anderson-Bischoff promo in Bischoff's office. Matt Morgan and Eric Young had a promo, and don't get me wrong, Eric Young is a funny guy, but comedy doesn't put asses every 18 inches, okay? Comedy does not draw ratings. Wrestling draws ratings. Kurt Angle, Jeff Jarrett, they set up a showdown for the show tonight, the main event, I guess. It's not really a match, so I guess I don't know if you can call it a main event. Parking lot brawl, anyways. They announced a 12-man X Division tournament where the top four will meet. I guess it's going to be the top four that will meet at Destination X, where the winner of the tournament gets a contract with TNA. The three participants this week were Kid Cash, a former X Division champion, Jimmy Rave, who was one half of the Rockin' Rave Infection with Lance Hoyt, and they were managed by Christy Hemme, which I thought was interesting because she's the announcer now, and the returning A-Double Austin Aries. This was a great match, and I will come right out and say it. I've said it before in a previous video. I am a huge A-Double Austin Aries fan. He picked up the win with a sick brainbuster. Guys, if you didn't see this, you should see it. So he moves on. I guess he's in the match now at Destination X, because I imagine there are going to be 4 preliminary matches, and then three preliminary matches rather, and then the 4-way at the pay-per-view. Rosita and Sarita versus Velvet Sky and Miss Tessmacher. I like the fact that the referee sent back the rest of Mexican America. They don't need to be out there. I mean, they can't interfere in a women's match anyways. That would just be wrong. ODB was in the crowd, distracted Velvet Sky. Rosita and Sarita, rice and beans, as you want to call them, held onto the belts. Miss Jackie returned to TNA and attacked Velvet Sky along with ODB. I like the Jarrett Hogan promo. I don't know exactly what the purpose was other than to make that parking lot brawl official. Excuse me. Sting Hogan promo I thought was very intense. Very interesting to see where they go with this, what they do with it. I don't know if Hogan's going to turn babyface or what, but it's really interesting the way they're going with the Sting and Hogan aspect of this whole storyline. A-Double Austin Aries had a promo. Wrestling matters, that kind of thing. I thought it came off really good. Eric Young versus Jason Harvey. Anybody that doesn't know, Jason Harvey was on the show in the 80s, The Wonder Years. Now he's a television producer with TNA and several other side projects with Eric Bischoff. They actually have a production company together. They used to produce the old... what was the name of that show after Impact? Reaction. Their production company actually produced that show. Eric Young pinned Jason Harvey in the locker room. Austin Aries apparently was the referee for this match and didn't know it. They announced that Samoa Joe and RVD would be the first participants in what is being called the BFG series, where there are 12 wrestlers. Every match that they have from now until Bound for Glory, No Surrender, counts, and there's a point system now. A submission win gets you 10 points. A pinfall win gets you 7 points. Count-out wins get you 5 points. DQ wins get you 3 points. A draw will earn you 10 points. And a disqualification loss will cost you 10 points. The top 4 wrestlers will compete at No Surrender in September, and the winner of that match will go on to Bound for Glory to challenge for the World Championship. And to me, this is huge. This is way better than the top 10 power rankings, whatever you want to call it, top 10 rankings that they were doing at the beginning of the year, or at the end of last year, I think it was. Anyways, RVD won the match via pinfall after a frog splash, earning himself 7 points. Anderson Gunner, very, very good match. Gunner was as intense as usual. Anderson, same shtick. You know, he brought the microphone down in the middle of the ring, in the middle of the match, and proclaimed himself the winner. Gunner hits the F5. I don't know what he calls it or what they call it, but it's the F5. And for the second week in a row, Gunner pinned the current world champion. Last week he pinned Sting. This week he pinned Ken Anderson. So I really think they're going to try to get Gunner into that championship mix somehow. And he's an intense guy. I mean, he could be world champion. The parking lot brawl. Kurt Angle and Jeff Jarrett, where if Jeff Jarrett lost, he said he would move himself to Mexico and leave TNA. Angle had the advantage for 99% of this. Jarrett had a small flurry of offense about halfway through. Angle won, made Jeff Jarrett say adios, which, you know, was goodbye in Spanish. Does this mean Jarrett's leaving TNA and moving to Mexico? What does this mean? I mean, seriously. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, this feud was supposed to be ended at Slammiversary in the final battle. Final means end. TNA, final means end. That means no more. Alright, now I'm going to answer some questions from you guys that you guys have sent me over the last couple of weeks, because I haven't done it in a few videos. Rick, you asked, why do you have heat with Andy Levine? Well, Rick, did you not watch the last fucking video? I explained to you why I have heat with Andy Levine. As many of my viewers know, and for those of you that don't know, I will inform you now, that I am straight edge. I am proud to be straight edge. Everybody knows what straight edge is. For those of you that don't, you don't smoke, you don't drink, you don't do drugs, you don't believe in promiscuous sex. I am straight edge. And during the taping of the show Tough Enough, they were all partying after one of the challenges, and Andy Levine said, I can't drink because I'm straight edge. They even called him Straight Edge Andy going into the finale. He lied. He was on worldwide television Monday night drinking a beer with Stone Cold Steve Austin. I understand that's some kind of a big honor in the business, but if you're straight edge, you don't drink. And the fact that he did it in front of CM Punk, who, as everybody knows, is straight edge, is bullshit. So, Rick, that's why I have heat with Andy Levine. I won't cheer him, I won't buy merchandise, I won't go to shows he's on, I won't watch his matches. The guy's a hypocritical asshole and he's a fucking liar. That's why I have heat with him. Thank you, Rick, for your question. Scott, you asked, what are your thoughts on backyard/trampoline wrestlers? I was a backyard wrestler for many years before I went pro, okay? Most guys in the business dabbled in backyard wrestling when they were kids, when teenagers, you know, before they could legally get into the wrestling business. And ones that say they didn't are fucking liars. I mean, look at Matt and Jeff Hardy. They started Omega, which was a trampoline wrestling federation, okay? And I know that's going to get a lot of heat with you goddamn Hardy marks out there. What has it gotten them? Jeff's sitting at home waiting for a court case to be over, and Fat Hardy can't get on TV. So, backyard wrestling is fine, trampoline wrestling is fine, but do something with it. You know, don't do the light bulbs and all that crap. If you're a wrestler, say you're a wrestler and go out and wrestle. I did. I wrestled in junior high and high school, parlayed that into a backyard career, and I was a wrestler. I didn't do a lot of hardcore stuff. We had a hardcore title in our company, but I mean, and I held it 16 times. But I was the anti-hardcore. I'd get out there and the weapons would be out there. I'd never use them. I'd just out-wrestle my opponent. So, Scott, to answer your question, for anybody that does backyard wrestling, do it safely, do it carefully, learn a little bit about wrestling before you try to do it. Trampoline wrestling is a little bit different because you've got the spring of the trampoline. I never wrestled in a ring until I went pro. I'd never been in a ring. Okay? Wrestling on a mat is different than wrestling in a ring. And wrestling on a trampoline is definitely different than both a trampoline and on a mat. There's too much give in a trampoline, I think. So, Scott, I hope that answered your question. Jill, you asked, what was my most favorite match of my career? And when I read this question, I actually sat back in my chair and thought about it. And I don't talk about a lot of my matches to people that ask, but to answer your question, I would say it was a 60-minute Iron Man match. I believe it was in 2006. And it was against a guy named Nightwalker Eddie Ramsey. Eddie Ramsey was his real name. Nightwalker was his wrestling name. And I enjoy this match because we went to a time limit draw. And I grabbed the belt and said, fuck this, I'm done. I wrestled 60 minutes, that's all I have to do. I went to the back. The announcer said he had gotten word that the GM, owner, promoter, whatever you want to call him, said that there had to be winners, so they were instituting a 5-minute overtime period where the winner of the first fall would win the championship. So I went out and I was pissed because I didn't want to work 5 more minutes or 3 more minutes. I didn't want to work 1 more minute. So we went back out and we're wrestling, and all match long, Nightwalker was using either a cross arm breaker or the crippler crossface. So I said, okay, I'm on the mat, he knocked me down, and I throw my arm out. And to make a long story short, he pinned me, made me submit. He made me submit to the crossface because I was pissed at him. And he won the title. So yeah, that was my favorite match. Kyle, you asked who would be my dream tag team partner and or my dream stablemates. I'm running out of time on this video, so I'll just quickly. My dream tag team partner would be Davey Richards. My dream stablemates would be Davey Richards, Eddie Edwards, and Austin Aries. Beth, you asked who my favorite knockout or diva is. In terms of divas, I like Eve Torres, Kelly Kelly. I love Natalya Neidhart and Beth Phoenix. They're both great workers. My favorite knockout is Mickie James. For many reasons, she's an awesome talent. I also like the up-and-coming Miss Tessmacher. She's got a lot to learn, but she's doing good. And of course, I love Velvet Sky. As I said, I believe it was in my last video or the video before that. Alright, those are your questions, guys. Jill, getting back to your question, I remember now how the match ended. I laid my arm out hoping he would go for a Fujiwara armbar or cross arm breaker, and I was going to roll him up. He grabbed me by the wrist, flipped me over, put me in the crossface. I'm in the middle of the ring. I tapped, and I didn't realize what I had done at the time. It hit me when they announced, I hear the announcer say, a new WCCWA heavyweight champion. So I stood up, grabbed the belt out of the announcer's hand, and everybody's thinking, I'm going to just waffle this guy with the belt because he stole it from me. I handed it to him, I shook his hand, I congratulated him, and I walked away because I was so pissed at myself for what I had done. Alright guys, I hope that answered your questions. I'll catch you guys next week. It'll probably be later in the week. I might do a Raw and Impact video together due to my work schedule. Alright guys, this is the Wrestling Wrap-Up. I am your host, the Megastar Austin Savage. Email the show, wrestlingwrapup@yahoo.com. Follow me on Twitter, @ProudToBeStraightEdge, and I'll catch you guys next week.